Super Bowl 60 is officially in the books with the Seattle Seahawks as the world champions. Now, believe it or not, there is some importance based off of this picture right here. The Seattle Seahawks not only showed the blueprint of how most teams should handle the way that they construct their roster, but the Falcons also kind of do some similar things to what Seattle does. Welcome in to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, but we're not going to focus too much on that today. What we're going to focus on is what happened right after the Super Bowl ended. ESPN does this every single year. They're way too early power rankings for the 2026 season. So in this article, they gave a 3-word description for each team and what their offseason kind of needs to consist of. And the Falcons' description felt very obvious to me, as it will you coming up here in just a moment. Now, before we do that, we have one final push, Falcons fans. That's right. 55 subscribers away from 51,000. So, if you're a loyal Falcons fan, if you want constant updates, not only on situations like the James Pearce Jr. case, but also mock drafts, free agency targets, do me a favor, lock us in and hit that subscribe button today. I'm sure you're wondering, Moose, where did ESPN rank the Atlanta Falcons in their way too early offseason rankings? Well, it's not great. In my opinion, this is a little low. I wouldn't say that the Falcons are top 15, but I don't think they are as low as 24. Now, we could go back and forth on what we actually think the number is. I think the Falcons should be right around 18 or 19 at this point, but this feels a little low to me. Either way, that's not the point of what we're talking about. What are the 3 words that ESPN used to describe what they think the Falcons' offseason should be? Here it is. Add depth everywhere. Okay, so like I said, in their most recent rankings, this feels a little bit low, but for the most part, this 3-word description is right on the money. This is exactly what the Falcons need to worry about. But there's another thing that they need to add as well. They need to add one splash signing. If I had to give my 3 words to add on to that, one splash signing. Now, ESPN wrote a little excerpt in this article, and here's what it said verbatim. There is no doubt that the Atlanta Falcons have talent across the roster, but the team's depth was called into question during training camp after wide receiver Darnell Mooney and right tackle Caleb McGarry went down with injuries. McGarry and his backup Storm Norton both missed the entire season, with Mooney missing 3 games and Drake London missing 5 games. Atlanta's offense never seemed to quite be firing on all cylinders. Man, that's putting it lightly. The Falcons will need to address their depth, including at the quarterback position due to Michael Penix Jr.'s ACL surgery. Keep that in mind. That's going to be on the back half of today's episode. But let's just go over some of the major injuries. Now, these are the major injuries. I'm not talking about guys that missed a couple of games earlier in the year like A.J. Terrell. We could make an entire smorgasbord of lists of different minor injuries that happened with the Falcons. But major ones, Darnell Mooney, Billy Bowman, Divine Diablo missed significant time, Caleb McGarry out for the year, Storm Norton out for the year, Zach Harrison got placed on IR, Drake London missed 5 games, and of course, MPJ missing the back half of the season with his own ACL tear. There's 8 players right there. The injuries killed you last year. You're not going to see nearly as many injuries, in my opinion, next year. Now, does that mean you're going to face 1 injury? No, but I don't think it'll be as much as 8 significant injuries. You might deal with 2, maybe 3 throughout the entire year. But if we were going to go and talk about splash players in this, rather than splash plays there, Gage, I'm just going to say out loud right now, there are a couple of players that I believe the Atlanta Falcons could add to make that one big splash signing. Because while they need to add depth, and I do believe you can add depth by trading down in the draft and maybe signing a couple of smaller free agents here and there, the 5 major players, in my opinion, now this isn't the whole list, but 5 major players that could be considered a splash signing for the Atlanta Falcons are as follows. Romeo Doubs, David Njoku, Isaiah Likely, Jalen Phillips, if the James Pearce Jr. situation ends up becoming a little bit wonkier and crazier than we think. Same with Trey Hendrickson in that department. Like, any one of these players would be considered a splash signing for the Atlanta Falcons. So while I do agree with ESPN's assessment that the Falcons need to add depth, which they absolutely do, I think it would be kind of a disservice to the fans, to me, and for the team itself to not explore one major signing, considering they've got about $26.5 million in available cap space. So, what do you think? Do you agree with ESPN's assessment of the Falcons offseason? I would say yes. I do for the most part. I would give it a solid B if I had to grade it, but I think they're missing one little extra piece in that, so to speak. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below. All right, coming up next, I did tell you we were going to talk a little bit more about Michael Penix Jr., and ESPN went further along and even said they predicted a quarterback situation for Atlanta, not by naming any players, but more of a general philosophy when it comes to the quarterback position. Now, before we talk about that, I have to tell you about my friends over at Factor Meals. You want to eat better, but you still have no time and zero energy to make it happen. Factor doesn't ask you to meal prep or follow recipes. It removes the entire problem. 2 minutes, real food, and you're done. Choose from 100 rotating weekly meals with lean proteins, colorful vegetables, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. The stuff that you'd make if you had the time. Plus, they got a brand new Muscle Pro collection supporting strength and recovery. You always get quality, functional ingredients, including those lean proteins, colorful veggies, and those whole food ingredients. Always fresh, never frozen, ready in 2 minutes. No prep, no cleanup, no mental load. So do me a favor, head to factormeals.com/FalconsChat50 off and use code FalconsChat50 off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. So ESPN claims that the Atlanta Falcons are most likely to trade for a younger quarterback. Now, if you remember in episodes past, I said you would absolutely be committing organizational malpractice if you were trading for a backup quarterback, not trading for a backup or a quarterback that is currently a backup. There is a difference. And you might be thinking, Moose, you're saying the same thing. No, I'm not. Because there are certain players that are glorified backups only versus players that are waiting in the wings to prove themselves as a potential quarterback one. There's a huge difference between a backup quarterback and a quarterback that is currently a backup. Kirk Cousins was a backup quarterback. Does anybody actually view him as a backup? No, they might not view him as a franchise guy anymore, but he's definitely better and more talented than a backup quarterback. So here's what ESPN said about the Falcons quarterback situation. Because in case you're wondering, like, Moose, where are all these quotes? Atlanta can defensively enter 2026 with Penix under close scrutiny as a third-year starter. But he is coming off a late-season ACL tear, so the Falcons will need someone who can start in September if he's not ready. More likely, the Falcons open up the starting job in camp competition between Penix and another outside option. Atlanta will not likely compete hard for Malik Willis, but I could easily see that front office trading up for one of the backups on rookie contracts who are collecting dust off another team's bench. Interesting. So, who are some of those young quarterbacks that the Atlanta Falcons could go after? Well, I mentioned Zach Wilson yesterday in a video, so although he's a free agent, not a trade target, but Tyson Bagent, Tanner McKee, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, all four of these guys will have at least some sort of trade option for the Dirty Birds. Now, whether or not they decide to go after any one of these candidates strongly is up to the Falcons. But if you were going to ask me, based off of the connection that he's already got with Ian Cunningham, based off of the prior connection with Ryan Poles, based off of his age, based off of the talent that we've already seen, I would strongly believe that Tyson Bagent is probably the best option out of all of those that I listed to compete for the QB1 spot coming into training camp. He's 26 years old. He's got his third year. He's a quarterback from Shepherd, which is a D2 school. He is 2-2 as a starter for the Chicago Bears, and he did sign a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Bears in August of 2025. So he's got one more year left on that deal. But you could trade for that 1-year deal. It's still incredibly cheap at only $5 million per year. And he would be extension eligible at the end of the year if and only if he won the starting job and actually played well. And for those of you wondering, well, how does he compare to Easton Stick? He's far better than Easton Stick. Trust me when I say that. Trust me. More passing yards, more passing touchdowns, less interceptions, and a much higher PFF grade. Tyson Bagent is an excellent, excellent backup option. And believe it or not, it's a win-win situation for Michael Penix Jr. and Falcons fans. Think about it. If Penix is healthy, Penix starts, you've got a young, reliable guy that can win football games if he needs to come in at any point in the 2025 season, or 2026 season, in Tyson Bagent. And if Tyson Bagent beats out Michael Penix Jr. or Penix can't go, then you already have someone that can come in and win a football game or two. It's a win-win situation, and I've seen plenty of people get down to the comment section saying they don't want to go the old head route. Fine, but you got to pick somebody. You got to pick a backup quarterback. It can't be Easton Stick. So who will the Falcons bring in at the quarterback position? Let me know down in the comment section down below. You guys know my answer. For right now, my number one option is Tyson Bagent. I'd be okay with Zach Wilson. I'd be okay with another young free agent type. I mean, there's plenty of guys that we could explore, but the window is shrinking. You know, we're only 27 days away from free agency. You don't have that much time to make a decision. Contracts and conversations need to start happening between the front office members right now. And that's why you subscribe. Always keeping you up to date with the Atlanta Falcons news. Powerful messages delivered by ESPN. Powerful messages from your guy Moose. Only 55 subscribers away. So do me a favor and lock us in by hitting that sub button. All right, that's all I got for you, Falcons fans. I will be back tomorrow. We are supposed to get more James Pearce Jr. James Pearce Jr. arrest details and some court stuff, some court documented stuff tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled. I will have every bit of information that you need regarding that situation. One last time for today, rise up and be cool.